Hi everyone, thank you for joining my Friday sermon. Apologies for the mufti, as they used to call it in school. But it's incredibly hot, so tomorrow for Shabbos I will definitely get dressed up. But in the meantime, you realise it's not yet Shabbos, and I'm just schwitzing. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoys the lovely weather over the weekend, and hope everyone stays safe and well. We'll start, as we always do, with the prayers for those who are unwell and for our situation that we find ourselves, which is not great. It's up and down. I know people are struggling with all kinds of things with bad health. People are making weddings, are struggling. People making simchas are struggling. The rules are changing constantly. Very difficult times. And we think of everyone and we hope for some salvation in the very near future. So please turn to page 510. We'll start with the Psalm 121. Middle of page 510 in the Singers. Shelamanu seso einay el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im adayno oise shamayim v'oretz al yitein lamoid raglecha al yamnum shoymrecha Hinei lo yanum v'lo yishan shoyme Yisroel Adonai shoymerecha Adonai tzilcha yad yaminecha Yoimam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yoreach b'aloyno Adonai yishmorecha Mikol ra yishmor es nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzeitzcha v'yecha Me'ata b'yad olam. We say prayers for those who are unwell. If you're watching at home, please add in the names of your loved ones and friends and anyone who needs a speedy recovery of Refuah Shlema. Misha beirach avisenu avim t'yakam Moshe David Shloimei V'varach es Pesach Manelo Ves Miriam Bas Neta Ves Yitzhak Ben Miriam Ves Chaya Feiga Bas Pesha Ves Yonis Ben Malka Ves Ben Pinchas Ben Miriam Ves Chana Bas Nechama Ves Chaim Tovia David Ben Chaya Leah Ves Avram Shag Ben Sarah Devora Ves Mokshim Ben Fredo Ves Pesach Ben Shane Gita Ves Shefa Zalman Ben Chan Liba Ves Moshe Gershom Ben Feiga Ves Yoshua Chona Ben Miriam Ves Shlomo Ben Mindel Ves Avram Ben Sarah Peril Ves Moshe Elimelech ben Masha Feiga, Ves Mordechai David ben Cyril, Ves Yaakov ben Miriam, Ves Michal ben Henya, Ves Yonis ben Sora, Ves Zvi ben Sora, Ves Castrio ben Fredo, Ves Pinchas ben Liba, Ves Yitzhak ben Rozachaya, Ves Baruch ben Tovachai, Ves Yudachaya, Shmuel Reuven ben Nechama Esther, Ves Shmuel Yehuda ben Kayla, Ves Rufal Hoshana ben Chana, Ves Yirmiyahu ben Sora, Ves Wolf ben Pauline, Ves Yitzhak Isaac ben Yehudis Rachel, Ves Nosson ben Shalom, Ves Meir ben Malka, Ves Ovid ben Tov, Ves Moshe ben Shifra Rochel, Ves Malka bas Chana, Ves Esther Chana bas Tavur, Ves Esther bas Rochel, Ves Herschel bas Rochel, Ves Francis bas Herschel, Ves Leah bas Karen, Ves Yael bas Sor, Ves Tavur bas Sor, Ves Masha bas Yacha, Shlamis bas Chai Liba, Ves Rabbi bas Sor Liba, Ves Galia bas Sora, Ves Yudis bas Bela, Ves Leah bas Esel, Ves Sor Leah bas Malka Esther, Ves Brocha bas Vegas, Michal David ben Rivka, Ves Shin bas Sora, Bavor Shem Lo Staka Bavaram B'Schazek Kosh Baruch Malachim Aleim Lachim Apos Amlachazik Malachim Yosam Vishlach Lehem Meir Refuah Shlema Shalom Cholim Choginem So Shechol Yisrael Furas Nefesh V'Zakov Hashta Magal Avizman Kariv V'Noima Amen. We wish condolences to Elisa Foe on the passing of, and her sister Mandy on the passing of her mother Ruth Graham and her aunt in America Thelma, and also to those with Yortzeit this week, which is the following. This Shabbos, Alan Abrams for his mother, Elaine Barnett for her mother, Michael Benton for his mother, Rosalind Cooper for her father, Helen Perlmutter for her mother, and Irene Young for her father. Sunday, Jeffrey Barnett for his mother, Paul Grover Marks for his mother, Cynthia Miller for her sister, and Edward Wolfers for his sister. Monday, Valerie Fishman for her mother, June Gross for her father, Richard Sinitsky for his father, and Bernie and Stanley West for their mother. On Tuesday, Andrew Collins for his father, Arnold and Madeline Garfield for their mother, Paul Lazarus for his sister, Norma Sedler for her father, and Susan Vrubel for her son. On Wednesday, Gerald Nathanson for his mother, and Heather Phillips for her father. On Thursday, Judy Barwin for her mother, Marion Gish for her father, Ruth Leader for her husband, Linda Levy for her mother, Sonia Stone for her husband. On Friday, Jonathan Lewis for his mother, Marion Manning for her mother, and Ivan Zakarat for his father. Wish everyone long life, Chaim Aruchim. El Marachamim, Sheikhein Bamaroinim. Hamatzei Menucham Lechayin Atagan Vayashchina. V'malois Kadoshim Terim, Kazarkim Masirim. Es Nishmas Rivka Bas David Leib, Yes Alta Persia Bas Yitzch Ben Yitzchok. Yes, Shengo Bas Ben Yom, yes Yenta Bas Chaim, yes Arucho Bas Faivo, yes Leah Bas Avrom, yes Chaim Ben Baruch, yes Kayla Bas HaKohen Bas Avrom, yes Yosef Ben Gershom, yes Yudis Bas Mordechai David, yes Louise Bas Leib, yes Hachaver Hashatz, Rebbe Huda Ben Avrom, yes Rocho Bas Hershel, yes Rafael Aaron Ben Chaim, yes Peila Bas Yitzhok, yes David Ben Yaakov Meir, yes Miriam Bas Lezer, yes Eliezer Ben Zvi David, yes Rocho Bas Yaakov, yes Rosa Bas Yaakov, yes Label Yudel Ben Yitzhok Shochul Oilamam, Anabachamim Yasirim Besei Second Avavni Oilamim, Yitzhok Betchacham Es Nishmas Adnoi Nachlasam, Yanucha B'Shom Meshkvaisam, V'Noimar, Amen. Okay, this week's sermon. I wish long life to all those with the outside and those condolences to those who have lost loved ones. We also have to do a few mazel tovs. Mazel tov to Levi and Adina on their wedding, which, please God, should go normally and smoothly this week. And it's been very difficult, lots of changes. So please God, everyone should be well. And we look forward to celebrating your Ufruf tomorrow, Shabbos, and your wedding, please God. And you should have only simchas in the future. And any troubles and any inconvenience that's been experienced for this wedding taking place at such a strange time should be a kapara, as they say, that you shouldn't have any more sorrows of any kind whatsoever in your life together. Also, Mazel Tov to Debbie on her birthday, to Carol Hoppen, Jason Steinberg, and Jonathan West on their birthdays, and Mazel Tov to Levi and Adina's parents and grandparents as well. So I'll be brief, and I'll just share the following. This week's Sedra contains two very important sections: the Shema, paragraph 1, and the Ten Commandments. So in the Shema, we find it's seemingly a very simple line. We just find the place. It says that you should love the Lord your God, etc. And then it says, these words, which I command you this day, should be upon your hearts. V'shinantam levanecha, you shall teach them to your children. The mitzvah, to educate one's children. Right? We find it elsewhere. Pesach, it says you have to tell your son what happened on this day. Educating our children, or the children of our community. So if it's not your own children, making sure there are chadarim, there's cheders, there's schools, there's Jewish education, is a communal responsibility. Many years ago when I was in Cardiff, we used to have cheder prize giving every year. And a lot of the board members in the shul were older, they didn't have kids in cheder. They'd say, we're not coming because we don't have kids in cheder. I'd say, no, that's not the point, that's not the point. Right? The cheder is the future. We don't currently have a cheder, our kids are hopefully in Jewish schools. But the point is, we have a duty to educate our children, my children, your children, someone else's children. V'dibarta bom, and it says you should teach your children. V'dibarta bom, and you should speak of them, which we assume means these words. V'shivtecha b'veisacha, when you're sitting at home. V'lechtecha v'derech, when you go on the way. V'shachlecha v'gemecha, when you lie down, when you rise up. So the late Rabbi Isaac Bernstein, Zichrona Livra, Zichron Tzadik Livrocha, the Rav of Kinlos many years ago, there's a beautiful idea which I love, which I repeat probably every year. It's worth repeating in his name. In the days of tapes, he made Parshat tapes of his sermons. Great stuff which you can listen to if you have a cassette player. It may have come out on MP3 now, I don't know. And Rabbi Bernstein said the following. We all get into a bit of a tangle often with our language, right? Everyone says she is the cat's mother because, people say he, she all the time. So if we look at this verse, it says, V'shinantam levanecha, you shall teach them to your children, them being these words of Torah, them, v'dibarta bom, and you shall speak of them. The assumption is, it's the words of Torah. Says Rabbi Bernstein, no. What was the last thing mentioned, the last definite noun, whatever, was your children. V'shinantam levanecha, you shall teach these words to your children, and therefore, because you have taught Torah and Judaism to your children, v'dibarta bom, you shall speak about them. Not the words of Torah, they're your children. You'll have nachas. If you teach your children, you pass on your Judaism, your Torah to your children, then you'll speak of them with nachas. I've told the story many times. I once gave a talk years ago to a group at Jack's, and they asked me, Rabbi, will your kids go to university or they go to yeshiva? I said, I don't know. It'd be very nice if they want to be rabbis and rebbetons. If not, listen, we'll support them whatever they do, but I would hope they would get an advanced Jewish education. I'm not so troubled if they go to Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard. But Rabbi, how are they going to become doctors and lawyers and accountants? So I said, you know what? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I said, maybe they'll get an ology, who knows? I said, but tell me honestly, close your eyes and imagine for a moment, which gives you real nachas? Is it that your grandson or your granddaughter is a lawyer or a doctor with some letters after their name? Or is it that they should have Jewish grandchildren, great-grandchildren that do Jewish things? And every single person said, it's doing Jewish things. That's what Yiddish nachas is. You can't translate nachas, it's a Jewish thing. You can be proud of your son because he got some letters after his name. He's a lawyer, he's a doctor, he's an accountant. He's whatever he is. You don't have to be one of those things, by the way. Many professions are very respectable. It's not Yiddish nachas. Yiddish nachas comes from Yiddishkeit. It's watching your kids leading a Seder on their own with their children when you join them as grandparents. It's your kids coming to shul with you. It's doing Friday night together. It's knowing that your children will carry on Judaism. That is nachas, says Rabbi Bernstein. The Shema tells us it's very simple. If you teach it to your children, and it's not just teaching on paper, it's passing on in a dynamic way. If you teach it to your children, v'dibarta bom, you will speak of them with great pride and nachas. Very simple. If it's not your own children, somebody else's children. Anything you can do to help Jewish education, financially or in terms of time and volunteering, or just making sure there are opportunities, do it. It is so important to the future. I saw an interesting thing. On my podcast, I'm going to speak to Jeffrey Leader this week, and he runs Pikuach. So there was an article in Jewish News that the last time they looked at their standards, they asked they measured Jewish studies by sort of academic standards. Now they've got a new thing. They measure Jewish studies not just by academic standards, but by spiritual value to the children, which I think is fantastic. Because our schools are teaching Jewish studies. The kids are having sometimes 5-6 lessons a week, more than they would have had in Cheder. Doesn't always mean they're getting enthused about Yiddishkeit. It's not the same thing. And anything that leads to a greater awareness of spiritual growth for our kids in our schools is fantastic. There's not so much we can do. If our kids are in Jewish schools, we have to just hope that the schools do their job. But we have a job as parents, grandparents, as community leaders as well. It's very simple. You want to have nachas from your kids? Put in the work. Right? It's not about which university they go to. It's not about their A-levels even, as we've seen this year from 2020. All that pressure for exams, which never happened. But one thing is for sure, is that Yiddishkeit, when your kids know how to do Jewish things, when they do Jewish things, when they lead Jewish lives, they marry Jewish and they have Jewish grandchildren, that brings true nachas. V'dibarta bom. When we say the Shema, let's keep that in mind. It's not just us davening and saying the Shema, it's what it means for the future generations. It's never too late to pass on our Yiddishkeit, to make sure that they get the tools as well. And if anyone needs help with that, please contact me. I'd be delighted to help you out. There's no greater nachas than seeing one's children and grandchildren picking up the baton of Judaism and carrying on. Anything we do in that regard is precious. They are the future. They may not be the majority of our community. Probably the majority of our community is over 40, certainly over 50. But they are the future. Without them, there is nothing. So let's put some thought into that. What can we do to help them? Starts at home, every one of us. We've been at home for months. Let's do what we can. I wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. I wish Mazel Tov to those who are celebrating Simchas, and I hope that everything goes smoothly and there should be no more complications and changes in rules and all the other things. I wish long life to those who have been bereaved, and again that should be able to grieve properly with family and friends around in the right manner in due course. And finally, I wish everyone to stay safe and well, enjoy the nice weather, and have a wonderful Shabbos. Take care.